can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's like, well, you've said it, now you've got to follow through with it.
Prince Harry is speaking out about systemic racism. The royal spoke to Rashad Robinson on Color of Change, where he got candid about systemic racism, hate online, people with privilege, and people using that privilege for change, according to Color of Change.
There's so much that has happened for so long that once those problems exist, charity is crucial in so many areas, but it can't fix the problem. The problems already exist by that point. The problems are already too big. And as I've said to you before, it's basically like bringing a bucket of water to a forest fire. So we have to go to the root of the problem, to the source of the problem, and actually fix it there. And as we've discussed before, it's going to take every single one of us. This is not down to the Black community. This is down to every single person that is on the planet right, especially, well, not especially, but certainly seemingly to be led by the younger generation. This movement is anyway, and to be able to act rather than just say. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's like, well, you've said it, now you've got to follow through with it.
Rashad posted about the interview on Instagram. I sat down to talk about online hate, compassion, and taking action to make change with my friend Prince Harry. This is a little teaser from a longer video we will release later. Stay tuned. I've appreciated the support he and Meghan have provided to our efforts, the post reads. This isn't the first time Prince Harry has spoken out. He and Meghan Markle, who are Vice President and President of the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, recently spoke with young leaders from the organization, and they discussed justice, fairness, and equality, as well as the Black Lives Matter movement.
A lot of it as well is in that self-reflection, it's acknowledging whatever mistakes we've all made, right? So if we look at the Commonwealth, and I know part of the conversation we're going to explore later on is looking at the history of that. But if you start on that macro level, you also have to look on a more micro level with each of us individually. What have we done in our past that we put our hand up? And I think this is a moment of reckoning where so many people go, you know what, I need to own that. Maybe I didn't do the right thing there. I knew what I knew. However, now it's time to reset in a different way. And I think both of us, it's part of the conversation we've had quite a bit in our calls over the last few weeks surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement, for everyone to be a part of this conversation.
And when it comes to sort of institutional and systemic racism, it's there and it stays there because someone somewhere is benefiting from it. We can't deny or ignore the fact that all of us have been brought up and educated to see the world differently. However, once you start to realize that there is that bias there, then you need to acknowledge it. You need to acknowledge it, but then you need to do the work to be able to become more aware so that you can, exactly what you're saying.
Well, and I think so much of what we're seeing as well is that, it's not even in the big moments, right? It's in the quiet moments where racism and unconscious bias lies, and as you've said, lies and hides and thrives. And it's those nuances that I think makes it confusing for a lot of people to understand the role that they play in that, either passively or actively, but I think even more so passively. And so much of what I've come to the understanding of, especially in learning even more about it of late, and obviously having had personal experience with it as well, but in people's complacency, they're complicit.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the shift that we're seeing, to go, it's not enough to just be a bystander and saying, well, it wasn't me. And that's what I think was very much manifested in what you're feeling from people's outpouring surrounding the murder of George Floyd. That it wasn't that this wasn't always happening, it's that it's come to a head at a time where people just said, enough.